What is up to all the Untamed Ink viewers? Put on your seatbelts and let's go around the world and get to know 10 insane thieves we've ever seen. We hope you find it useful. Before we start, we have to say that these thieves were lone wolves. It was not a group or an organization. Number 10. Frank Abagnale. If you've ever seen the movie Catch Me If You Can, it's about this guy. This guy started his scamming business at the age of 15. This guy would fake checks from all kinds of banks all around the world at his house, and all of them were with different names. He had all kinds of ID cards with different names and different occupations. One day he was a lawyer, another day he was a surgeon, another day a businessman, and one day a pilot. In conclusion, every day with a different name, he would write big checks for everything. Abagnale says in all the time he was scamming with fake checks, he wrote 17,000 fake checks. But this guy was international, and in 12 different countries, he wrote all these fake checks. And eventually, they arrested him in France and handed him over to the US. He got 12 years in prison, but after 4 years, FBI came looking for him and told him if you help the FBI with fake checks and scammers, you don't have to serve your time anymore. He accepted it and worked for the FBI for a long time. He's 72 years old now and he's living life. Number 9. Vincenzo Peruggia. The theft that got this man famous happened in 1911. What does this guy steal? This. And everybody knows what this is. Where does he steal it? Here, the Louvre Museum. Vincenzo enters the Louvre Museum in the morning and finds a corner to hide. When all the workers leave the museum at night, he just casually walks up to the painting, puts it under his arm and walks out. He had it for 2 years, and after that, he put it up for sale in Italy. He kinda messed up stealing this thing because he stole something you really can't sell. Eventually, he finds a customer and gives him the address. The customer goes with the police, and you already know what happens. They arrest Vincenzo, get the painting back. But Vincenzo really defended himself. He said, "I didn't steal this. And the reason for that is that this thing belongs to Italy, and I took it where it belongs." The Italian court was very impressed and gave him a short sentence and gave him 1 year and 15 days in prison. Number 8. Dick Turpin, an English bandit that lived in the 18th century. You could say he's the most famous bandit of all time because he would mug everyone in the UK. He would steal horses, caravans, or anybody that he saw on the road. Dick Turpin was born in 1705, and in 1739, at age 33, he was executed. At that time, everybody was scared of Dick Turpin, and every time they wanted to hit the road, they were shivering scared that they're gonna run into him. Even with all that preparing, he would still mug everybody. Alright, let's get back to current times. Number 7. Bill Mason. This guy was really charismatic and also had a lot of friends, especially wealthy friends. He would go to rich people's parties and steal from them, and he was only looking for expensive things like diamond and gold. When he gets caught, he had stolen over $35 million in just jewelry. Whenever he was at a party, he would try not to drink and wait for everybody else to get drunk. Whenever they got drunk, he would go in the back and steal whatever he needed, and with the jewelry in his pocket, he would continue to party. One of the people he was friends with and always went to his party is him, Armand Hammer. If you don't know him, he was a wealthy man and had a net worth of $800 million. And he was at his house all the time, and whatever he could get his hands on, he would steal it. And those guys were so rich that they wouldn't even notice that they're getting robbed. Bill Mason says he didn't steal it for the money, because after the first few times I did it, I had enough money for the rest of my life. But the excitement of the robbing was the reason I did it, and I was addicted to the thrill. They eventually got him, got all the money he had on all the jewelry, and since he returned all the things he had and didn't use any weapons while he was robbing, he only got 5 years in prison. Finally, it's the ladies' turn. Number 6. Doris Payne. Doris's parents were extremely poor, and they worked in a coal mine in West Virginia. Doris didn't have a job, and her only choice was working at the coal mine. But she spent the money on herself. She would use her salary to buy the nicest clothes she could find. And she had a plan for all this, and the plan was to make herself look rich as possible. She would wear the nicest clothes, put on the makeup, and go to the jewelry stores. She was a charismatic and talkative person, and whenever she started talking, everybody glued onto her and only wanted to hear what she had to say. And then she would start testing the jewelry, and in middle of speaking, when the other people weren't paying attention, she would steal it. She would steal it in a way that the seller wouldn't even notice. She started to make more and more money, and not only did she have the nicest clothes and shoes, she was driving the nicest cars now. And not only did she steal from US jewelry stores, but she would go to other jewelry stores around the world and steal from them as well. One of the coolest facts about Doris's life is that since the day she started and until she got caught, it was 60 years, and Doris was doing this for 60 years before she got caught. She got arrested at 80 years old, and because of her age, she got 5 years in prison. She's 90 years old now, and she's still alive. Number 5. Natwarlal. This guy's job was real estate, and he was looking for customers to sell awesome buildings. First of all, you have to know that Natwarlal is from India, and he was trying to sell Taj Mahal. He eventually finds customers to sell the Taj Mahal to, and he even would go down to the contract to sign it. In his whole career trying to sell Taj Mahal, he found 6 serious customers. But when it was time to get paid, something would hit the fan and Natwarlal had to run away. India's law in this case is extremely serious. When they finally arrested Natwarlal, they gave him 113 years in prison, and in 2009, he died in prison. Number 4. Karl Gugasian. This man was a bank robber. He would enter the bank with a gun and a mask, and would tell the teller to give me all the money. He wouldn't argue with the banker either. Any money he could get, he would get it and leave. This guy robbed banks with this style for 30 years. He said he stole $2 million in cash in 30 years. But it's not about the amount he stole. It's about how he robbed 50 different banks without getting caught. And this case makes this thief special. He finally got arrested in the year 2000 and got 17 years in prison. And in 2017, he got out at age 69. Number 3. Mehdi Baliq. This guy was a patient and smart thief. And one of the coolest things he did was that in the 1950s, he pulled off one of the biggest scams in the world. He sold the Supreme Court of Iran to 2 Arab businessmen, and he told them it was a hotel, not a court. And in 1978, he finally got caught and went to prison. And after the Iranian Revolution, he was executed. Number 2. William Sutton. This guy was a gentleman thief. Whenever he would enter a bank with a gun, like a gentleman, he would tell the bank teller, "Please give me the money." The cool part is that William wouldn't cover his face. He would enter the bank with a gun, but since he was a gentleman, it was an empty gun and he didn't want to hurt anybody. After stealing $2 million in cash from different banks, he eventually got caught and he gets 30 years in prison. And he dies in prison. And in the end, at number 10, is Stefan Breitweiser. In his younger years, he was a waiter at a restaurant and he worked at fancy restaurants in France. But he also had another job, and his job was stealing paintings from museums around France. Even though his stealing was part-time, he stole 239 paintings, and the value of these paintings added up to be $1,400,000,000. Stefan gets arrested in 2001. The police enter his house and see a bunch of paintings everywhere on the walls, and he didn't even sell a single one of those paintings. Stefan says that he didn't steal it for the money, he stole it because he loves art and these paintings. Since Stefan didn't sell any of the paintings and got back to the museum safe and sound, he only got 3 years in prison. Stefan is named the most organized thief of all time, and the reason for that, in 6 years of stealing, he did it so clean and stole 239 amazing and expensive paintings. And the coolest part is that in the middle of all this stealing, he was still a waiter.